The SWAC West will never, ever disappoint you when it comes to plot twists and storylines. Welcome to Pepsi SWAC Gameday. I'm Tolly, Carr in Atlanta. Charles Bishop joining us in just a few seconds because we have so much to unpack here heading into the final slate of games to end the regular season. But first, a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Pepsi, official partner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. GM, proud sponsor of the SWAC. Home Depot, proud sponsor of the SWAC. Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods and outdoor retailer of the SWAC. And Nike. All right, let's start right here with the latest news. Eric Dooley did not survive 2 full seasons on the Bluff. Southern University announced on Tuesday of this week that Dooley is out as head coach, effective immediately. There was a press conference on Wednesday morning. Let's hear a little bit now from Southern Athletic Director Roman Banks.
I think hiring Coach Dooley was a great boost for us. He was able to stimulate the fan base. He brought a lot of the alum football players back to be involved. And so the hiring shook Jaguar Nation up where we could see it in season ticket sales went up, attendance went up, and so the initial boost that I thought that Coach Dooley would bring to the program, it happened. I just think somewhere along the way is that in this business, still communicating with your fan base, being able and you communicate by work ethic or also about when you're at the podium talking, and sometimes we have to accept responsibility and to let them know that we are working to correct ourselves, and so just looking at where we were last year versus this year wasn't the expectation, right? And for me, it's just didn't have a clear version of the game plan going forward. It was, very frustrating at times, and we all have to sometimes make some changes, right? We have to sit down. In this business, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, and I think it's your coaching philosophy, your administration philosophy is when you stand in the gap and say, okay, to the fans, to the people, to the media, we missed this one on me, and we're going to make some changes. And so I just think with evaluating all that and having the conversation with him about those things just led us to this point that I just want to make sure going forward, and it won't be a rush. These things are locked in your mind that when you hire the next person, you just want to dig in. You never be 100% sure about anyone, but you want to dig in and make sure that some of the things that cause frustration probably for us and our fans and players or whatever the case may be, that doesn't happen in your next hiring.
Okay, so effective immediately, Terrence Graves, the assistant head coach, special teams coordinator, and linebackers coach. He's going to serve as the interim coach for Southern University. And safeties coach Sean Wallace, he's going to serve as the acting head coach for the Bayou Classic. All right, let's bring in Charles Bishop to get some instant reaction. We got a lot to unpack here, Charles. First, I guess your immediate takeaway, what you felt earlier this week when you heard Dooley was out, not even making it to his second Bayou Classic.
Yeah, it's a surprising turn of events with regards to Eric Dooley when you take a look at the excitement that Southern fans had when he came on board. But it just wasn't meant to be. 2 years in, Southern being in the offensive doldrums that they've been in, and it's sort of difficult when you take a look at he has the reputation of being an offensive guru. So I think the fan base disappointment in Southern's offense not being what it was, it took its toll.
All right, let's talk a little bit. Some people at home may be saying to themselves, okay, there's 2 coaches here. Well, what's going on? Let's talk a little bit first about Sean Wallace, who's serving as the acting head coach here. Charles, he's dealing with a lot on his plate. I mean, he is in the throes of pancreatic cancer right now.
Yeah, and that is very difficult when you take a look at the fact that he's dealing with so much. But you take your hats off to the Southern administration in terms of recognizing Sean to be the head coach in this Bayou Classic and to show the resiliency that he has shown during the course of the year. I think that's a huge feather in his cap and an emotional lift going into this Bayou Classic game.
Yeah, and they didn't explicitly say this, but this is a way to honor him. You know, we always talk about giving people their flowers. You know, here's a guy that is dealing with something that is, threatening his life and still is dedicated to the program. And they didn't come out officially say it, but it appears, Chuck, that this is a good way to honor Sean Wallace here heading into the Bayou Classic. Let's talk. Go ahead, Chuck.
Tremendous way to honor him, and as alluded to in the press conference, he is a Southern guy through and through, and to honor him in this way, I think that's tremendous with regards to Southern's administration for doing it.
Terrence Graves has made his way into the history books, Chuck. Terrence and I go way back. We were both students at Winston-Salem State. One of us was a star football player. The other was not. I'll let you guess which guy was the star strong safety on the team. But he was the interim head coach at Grambling just 2 seasons ago for the Bayou Classic. He coached the G-Men to a win, and now 2 years later, here he is at Southern in pretty much the same capacity. That was not on my bingo card for Terrence heading into the season.
Yeah, it's got to be historic in some manner when you take a look at being an interim coach and winning the Bayou Classic at Grambling and then getting an opportunity to do the same thing at Southern. But Terrence Graves, no stranger to the Southwestern Athletic Conference, well-beloved coach throughout this league. So to see him get another opportunity, another bite at the apple, speaks volumes in terms of what they think of Terrence Graves.
This is a SWAC show, but it's not lost on the audience, Chuck, that people from Winston-Salem State just do great things. I mean, it's right there, Charles.
You guys got a few alums out there that are doing some big things.
All right, let's get back to SWAC business so I don't get a memo this week. Those are the breaking news storylines, Chuck. Everything that happened on the field felt like breaking news, but it's just been a week of trying to keep up with the news cycle. So let's reset. Let's go back and watch the highlights. There were some serious implications in the standings from Week 11. Here's how it all went down. Grambling found itself down 7-0 after UAPB opened up Friday Night Lights with an 80-yard drive for a touchdown, but the G-Men would reel off 29 straight points in a stretch of time from the first quarter until the third quarter. G-Men roll 43-14, keeping hope alive. Bethune-Cookman at home hosting Alabama A&M. The Bulldogs had to feel good going up 14-0, but it was a drought from that point forward. Bethune-Cookman just ran the ball completely down the throats of the Bulldogs. Touchdown runs of 52, 47, and 22 yards in the fourth quarter. It was a big Bethune-Cookman win, 31-14. In what was the final game of the Eric Dooley era at Southern, the Jaguars put on a show in the first half of a SWAC elimination game. A solid run attack with a Harold Blood touchdown thrown in for good measure had the Jaguars up 21-17 at the break. But Prairie View delivers a second-half shutout. One touchdown and a field goal was enough on offense in the second half for Prairie View to win it 27-21. Alabama State overwhelmed Mississippi Valley State 20-3. Keyshawn Johnson, 6 catches, 120 yards. Just throw him the darn ball. Also a touchdown in the win. FAMU able to coast in its Florida Classic tune-up. They knock off Lincoln University of California 28-0. And the game that shook up the SWAC West on a Sunday, Texas Southern with a 44-10 win over Alcorn State. Jace Wilson and Trenton Leary with a 67-yard scoring connection to open things up. And then it was Ladarius Owens. He took it from there. 211 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns, including a 62-yard score in the fourth quarter. The Tigers flipped the script for the Western Division 44-10 winners over Alcorn State. All right, Chuck, so Week 11 opened the door for that SWAC championship race in the West. FAMU has it hemmed up in the East. They're going to host the championship game in December. Let's take a look at all the scores from last weekend. Look, we had a Friday, Saturday, Sunday combo. All 3 days had impact on the SWAC West. Chuck, Alcorn State has been feeling like they're in a sudden death playoff each weekend for the last month. But this matchup on this past Sunday did not go over well against Texas Southern. And that opens the door for Prairie View and even an outside long shot there for Grambling.
Yeah, the wacky SWAC West Warriors is ahead again. I don't think anybody saw this Texas Southern upset of Alcorn, but it was a dominant performance by Texas Southern when you talk about Ladarius Owens rushing for over 200 yards. And Texas Southern taking over this game in the second quarter and really putting it away, 21 unanswered points. And then shut down defense in the second half. It was a tremendous win for Texas Southern's program.
All right, so they help out Prairie View A&M because PV needed to win and they needed Alcorn State to lose to get back into that driver's seat because they own the head-to-head matchup if it comes down to a tiebreaker. So they go on the road, knock out Southern. They now control their own destiny. Chuck, you're very familiar with Prairie View. You'll be on the call this weekend. Alabama State, no matter what Alcorn State does, if Prairie View handles their business, they are in the SWAC championship game.
And this is something Bubba McDowell has preached all season. Finish. You've got to finish the job. Prairie View has been in this situation. They were in this situation last year. They did not get it done last year. This will be a huge game. And when you talk about taking on one of the top defenses in the Alabama in terms of Alabama State, I'm looking forward to this game this weekend because it's really everything on the line for Prairie View at home. Blatcher Field this weekend.
Man, and Grambling, they've just felt like they've been out of it for the last couple of weeks, but they will know going into the Bayou Classic if they still have a shot. If both Alcorn and Prairie View lose, the G-men can still have a little hope, Chuck.
I have more than a little hope because and we saw last year how things shook out with Texas Southern and Prairie View losing on one of the last weekends of the year and Southern being able to get to the SWAC championship. So anything is possible when you're talking about Prairie View and Alabama State, rivalry game in Jackson State and Alcorn. Grambling still has hope.
All right, let's take a full look at the schedule for Week 12. Our conversation is going to stretch over, 2 weeks in theory, and Alabama State's going to play again, so it's kind of like Week 12/Week 13. We're just going to call it Week 12 for right now. But whatever you wish to call it at home, we're going to keep it simple. All right, Thursday, we got Mississippi Valley. They're coming to Alabama A&M. Saturday, Alcorn State, Jackson State. I call it the Soul Bowl. Chuck, what's your verdict? Do you go back and forth, Capital City Classic, Soul Bowl, or is it just Soul Bowl every year?
I grew up on the Soul Bowl. Yeah. It is the Soul Bowl to me.
You can't beat that name, Soul Bowl. It's a winner. Huge implications. Alabama State at Prairie View. Both games are going to start at 2 p.m. Central, so that PA announcer, no hot dog break, no bathroom break. You're going to be on the mic all afternoon with score updates. Just get them a porta potty up there. Pine Bluff is at Texas Southern, and let's not sleep. How about this? We're not burying the lead. It's just how this has worked out. The Florida Classic, finally, let's get to that. It's not going to impact the SWAC standings, but that matchup is a wild card. It is a crazy game in the state of Florida between two arch rivals, Bethune-Cookman and FAMU. BCU is heating up, and something unexpected always happens in the Florida Classic. The favorite doesn't always come out the victor, and a lot of times is the exact opposite. So that is crazy. And then the following week is our exception week in the SWAC. Everyone else is done except Alabama State has the long-standing Turkey Day Classic on Thanksgiving. They got Tuskegee back on the schedule. That should be a lot of fun. And then, of course, a week from this Saturday is the Bayou Classic. We're going to talk more about all these games, but first, let's hear from the coaches now about those games that are coming up.
TSU had a great game this past weekend against a good team in Alcorn, and it put us back in position, to do some things. And and as I tell them all the time, so guys, don't let people take away your opportunity. You guys were voted way down the list at the beginning of the year, and I try to use little things like that to motivate them. I kind of said that early in the week, going into Southern. So hopefully, again, we can get the same energy, going into this week, and win this game. We're gonna go in, take one game at a time. We always say 1-0 throughout the week, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna prepare for Alabama State coming in. And we're going to try to come out with a victory. It's a senior night as well, so that should be added, enthusiasm to get these guys going.
I mean, I think they have some athletes at the wide receiver position. I mean, they can definitely score from anywhere on the field, so you definitely don't want those guys, with a 40 or 50-yard, touchdown pass. And I think the quarterback, he's getting better each week. I think he's the guy that you have to contain. He can beat you, whether it's running or passing. So he's one of those guys, dual threat kid who's played some snaps. We played against him last year. He had some success against us. So we know we have to stop the receiving group and also the quarterback.
First of all, they got a pretty good team. I think Coach Taylor has done a great job since he came in as head coach, and which I expected him to. He's a real good coach. He's been trying for a while to get that position there. I'm glad he got it, and he's doing a great job with the Jackson State Tigers. So I think the biggest challenge is we just got to go in and execute offensively. To offset the things they're going to do on the defense side of it. They got a good front seven. They're real good putting pressure on the quarterback. So we just got to make sure that we dot our I's across our T's and form our offense.
I've been telling them to look ahead and trying to get them to understand the magnitude of this football game when Alcorn and Jackson State faces off. I think you hit it on the head, being a former player here and being a part of this program and just seeing those huge crowds coming into the city of Jackson. And we had opportunity to go down to the reservation on last year, but just getting them ready for it, the expectation. This probably be the biggest crowd that we've seen all year here in the city of Jackson. So just getting them ready for it, keeping them grounded and understand, we still got to go out and play good football. Both teams, like I said, are going to be well coached, very prepared. It's going to be an exciting atmosphere, great fans in town, so it's a great rivalry. I'm looking forward to it, so I'm excited about my first Soul Bowl as head coach at Jackson State.
I tell you, it's been a rivalry, forever, and just to get an opportunity to be a part of it as a coach, and like I talking with Coach Simmons, he's going to have to kind of let me know some of the ins and outs because this is my first rodeo at coaching in the game, but obviously playing in it, it's big time and it's good. The rivalry. It's gonna be a good, hard fought, clean football game. Got a lot of respect, for Coach Simmons and what he's doing with the program, and obviously, what we're trying to do here. We're trying to do it the right way, and look forward to it.
Well, I definitely think it's a bucket list item. I've been a part of classic games. I've seen them, watched them on TV. I think this one's right up there with any of them, and I mean at any level. Just the pageantry, the love, the disdain on game day for one another, the trash talk, the halftime show, you name it, the tailgating. It's just an amazing experience. Two programs that are the only two Division I HBCUs in the state of Florida. Probably 90% of the HBCU graduates in this state have attended one of those two institutions. And so the trash talk is year round, and Thanksgiving is the week after. And I've been a part of both scenarios. The turkey tastes a lot better on Thanksgiving if you win the game.
We're trying to undo some things that have been going over here for decades. So, I know some of the problems we have didn't happen overnight, so we know they won't be fixed overnight. But again, we're just going to continuously just try to keep preaching and teaching the right things. And, we think we're going to get this thing turned around. And like I said, Alabama A&M, man, that's a tough place to play. It's just something about going down there. It's tough. Those guys are physical. So, coach is going to have those guys ready to go out there coming off a loss against Bethune. So, man, it's going to be a great challenge, but we're looking forward to it.
Playing a good Valley team, they recognize what they want to be, but they play hard, and if you're not ready to play, they'll beat you. They beat us last year. They play, so we know what they're capable of. So we got to be ready to play on this Thursday night. So we got 2 more days, and we'll be ready.
I'm excited about this opportunity to go out there and compete with my team one last time with this group of guys. And I know they'll play hard. Like I said, I was disappointed last week. They were disappointed. Man, we left a couple touchdowns on the field, had guys running wide open, and the quarterback didn't give them the ball. So again, that's kind of been our story this year. But again, it's a learning experience. As we say, it's not losing. We're learning how to win.
We're about to go against a really good Pine Bluff team. You know, they're extremely talented on both sides of the ball. It's not going to be an easy matchup for us. They're going to be hungry for a win. We're hungry for a win. Just looking forward to the competition of it. But Jace has been tremendous all season. You know, he started slow. And again, you alluded to it. You know, it was a matter of him learning what's expected of him, learning the playbook, and getting comfortable with what we're asking him to do. And then it's the coaching staff figuring out what he does best, and what he does best was different than what Andrew did best. And so we had to find those simple things to put Chase in position to help us be successful.
And to me, you throw the records out in these games. You know, obviously these are two very historic programs that have always been at the top, as you said, of the West. They're good football teams, good teams on both sides, in my opinion. Great universities, and it's a chance for you to see, you know, the Black experience at its best. You know, and I think the schools, the football teams, the staffs, both sides, the bands, I think everything that's going to be on display is something that I think everybody want to be a part of.
The first thing we had to do was, you know, let them have their moment. And like I told them yesterday, y'all got 48 hours. You got 48 hours. So let them have their 48 hours, and then we're going back to doing what we need to do. We need to prepare for this opponent because, like I told them, Grambling's not going to lay down. Grambling's not going to feel sorry for us because we've had a change. So we got to understand in life, those things are going to happen. And we talk about life to our players a lot, and this is one of those small things. This is the tip of the iceberg of life. You know, everybody just sees the tip, but they don't see the big ice underneath that water. So this is just the tip. So once they get over that, and what we're doing is we're doing what we always do. We're gonna love on them. We're gonna coach them. We're gonna teach them. We're gonna mentor them, and we're just gonna go with business as usual.
But like in life, I share with them, you know, sometimes you have some guys that maybe think, you know, life isn't fair. And I share with them that, you know, going into the hospital and for an IV and being told that you got stage 4 pancreatic cancer isn't fair. However, life is about how you respond to it. And so we must respond to it in a positive manner and go forward because that's what life requires of us if we want to win. And so that's the message we told them, and that's the message we're going to stick with. We must go on. We must win because that's what Coach Dooley would want. That's what we want. That's what the staff want. That's what the fans want. That's what the organization wants, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to move forward. We're going to win the football game.
Okay, standings on the screen, Chuck, so everyone can play at home and you can see the math as we discuss because you need a Cliff Notes study guide to keep up with all this stuff, Charles. You're going to be on the call with Prairie View A&M and Alabama State on Saturday. Soul Bowl, we have decided, will be going on at the same time. The folks in Jackson are going to be more concerned with your game in Prairie View because Alcorn no longer controls its destiny. PV has that head-to-head tiebreaker. We've talked about that. But let's get to Alabama State. Let's not forget about this team. They're going to be on the field. Chuck, they've won 5 in a row. They're not going to just say, oh, here you go, Prairie View. Have a good time at the SWAC Championship.
Not at all. And you're talking about Alabama State, like you mentioned. They've won 5 in a row, and they have one of the league's top defenses. And Coach Eddie Robinson Jr., he'll tell you in a second, he believes his front 7 is as good as anybody in the FCS. They're led by all-world linebacker Colton Bubba Adams, and it's going to be a tough task for a team, especially that likes to run the ball. Alabama State is only surrendering 87 yards per game on the ground. So Prairie View's going to have to hit some things deep, and like Bubba McDowell says all the time, we got to have guys on the outside win their one-on-one battles. Over the past 2 weeks, Shamar Savage has done that for Prairie View, so the receivers are going to have a big game for Prairie View in this game.
Did you say Savage, Chuck?
I did say Savage.
Savage. That's just the perfect football name. Perfect. Mama knew exactly what the baby. Well, she didn't give him the last name, but perfect name there. All right, Alcorn and Jackson State. The Braves absolutely have to win. They have to win. They can't hope somebody else loses. They have to win. Jackson State has won 3 in a row, and Irv might be back swerving on Saturday. Chuck, not that the Soul Bowl needs any hype or any help, but boy, a lot on the line there in Jackson.
A lot on the line, a lot of scoreboard watching that'll be going on in Jackson. But when you take a look at this Alcorn State team, they've got to get back to the balance that led them to their win streak before Texas Southern. And they've got to get guys like Jarvian Howard and Nico Duffy off in this game, because if it becomes sort of a one-dimensional sort of contest, it plays in the hands of Jackson State. Jackson State, second in the league in terms of sacks, 28 going into this game, but they are the best in the league at picking balls off. This is a ball-hawking secondary, so you want to get this running game up and going to have that balance to kind of keep Jackson State's defense on their toes. All right, Chuck, it's prediction time, baby. You got to let us know. Let America know. America, Chuck is about to tell you. Will all of this drama end up with us waiting on the outcome of the Bayou Classic late fourth quarter once again, or are we going to get some things decided on Saturday? Yeah, I think this year we get things decided on Saturday, and I believe wholeheartedly Prairie View gets this done at home. They've had opportunities last year, but I think with everything on the line, and it has literally been preached and inserted into this Prairie View football team since training camp. Finish the job. 4 quarters. Finish the job. Everything's on the line. I think Prairie View gets it done this weekend against a hot Alabama State team. Hey, Chuck's mama did not raise a fool. Protect the check, Chuck. I see you, man. Protect the check. Chuck is not going against Prairie View. You can check out Chuck on the call. But Chuck keeps it real. He keeps it down the middle. He is very balanced and nuanced journalist. Chuck, I agree. Saturday, I don't see both Alcorn and Prairie View losing. Somebody's going to win there. I won't be as bold to make predictions because I just ask questions. That's how I keep this host gig going. I just put you guys. Put me in the hot spot. I put you guys in the hot seat. I just ask the questions. But I think we'll get some resolution on Saturday. But it will take nothing away from the Bayou. But we both could be wrong. It could come all the way down. That's what I love about this time of the year. This is why I love football, because it just makes you feel like, it just gets you in your feelings, Chuck. Teams you don't even have a rooting interest for, you fall in love with them, and you're just like, man, what is going to happen here? So the SWAC West, the SWAC West, would you say, Chuck, understood the assignment this season? Very much so. Understood the assignment, and they held true to form throughout. Without a doubt. All right, before we go, time for our Players of the Week. The SWAC has named Texas Southern's Ladarius Owens and Jacob Williams, along with Prairie View A&M's Ephron Jasso and Bethune-Cookman's Marquez Shaw, as SWAC Football Players of the Week. They had some great games over the weekend. Offense, Chuck told us about this, 211 yards for Owens on 24 carries, 3 touchdowns. Texas Southern had that big punishing win over Alcorn State. Williams on defense, 9 tackles, a tackle for loss, half a sack, a pair of pass breakups. Again, a big part of Texas Southern's win. Specialist of the Week, Jasso contributed 3 punts, 142 total yards with an average of 47.3 yards per punt, had a long one of 50 yards for Prairie View, and that big win over Southern on the road. And Newcomer of the Week, Shaw, finished today, 12 carries, 109 yards, 9.1 yards per carry in just his second appearance of the season against Alabama A&M. That's a true freshman out there getting it done over the weekend. What a weekend it was in the SWAC, and the biggest is still to come this weekend. I can't wait till next week's show. Oh, we're going to have so much to unpack as the regular season, for the most part, comes to an end with the Bayou and Turkey Day Classic on the horizon. All right, Charles Bishop is my guy. He came to us today from Houston. I'm Tolly Carr in Atlanta. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here on Pepsi SWAC Game Day.